Hey everyone, Ryan here, and welcome to episode 239 of Ask MandR Productions, a series where I answer your questions. If you have a question you want to answer on next week's episode, make sure you comment it down in the comments section below and hit the like button while you're there. Let's get to our first viewer question from Jonathan, and he says, what about the LEGO YouTube community is exciting you right now? I have to be optimistic? Are you kidding me? The LEGO YouTube community is, of course, always changing, and one of the biggest things to happen over the last year that I would say is kind of an influx of a different style of LEGO content. The hyper edited, the super like YouTubers YouTube video, if that makes sense, kind of like Mr. Beast style. And while I've kind of dabbled in that, that is not necessarily a path that I personally want to go down, but it is something that has proven to be super popular for a lot of other creators in the LEGO space, doing these kind of like challenge 24-hour videos all the time, and they have the super hyper pop thumbnails, which I probably should be doing, right? It would get me more clicks, more views, more money, whatever. But it's certainly working very well for a lot of other LEGO creators, and these channels are kind of leapfrogging what I would call like the traditional LEGO space. These are much more broadly appealing channels than something like mine that really kind of hyper focuses in on like LEGO Star Wars, and then every once in a while like, oh, here's the LEGO Office, or here's some LEGO superheroes. You know what I mean? It's a much broader appeal. So it's something that's pretty exciting to me because it's a case of, you know, rising tides raises all ships. So it's just kind of helping increase the popularity of LEGO online in general, I would say. So I think that's the most exciting thing happening with the LEGO online community right now, is just that it's growing, seemingly. I'm curious if you guys have anything you're particularly excited about. I mean, I'm excited personally for like the next 3 months of content on the channel. There's stuff like that I'm excited for LEGO-wise, but from a broad perspective, it's this kind of new era of content that I don't personally watch, because it's so hyper edited, you know, but it is something that's, I think, good for the space in general. Iron says, do you feel the new foosball table is overpriced and unnecessary? I wouldn't say the set is unnecessary. I think it's a great concept for a set. I love playing foosball, and so when I heard the LEGO Ideas foosball table was coming out, oh man, that's exciting, right? However, the foosball table did not meet my expectations. It won't be something I'm buying. It's $250, and that is a no-go for me. And so what this set does is a couple of things very well. It's introducing a ton of new like character heads with different skin tones for them, and like that's great. You can make different like purist custom minifigures with those heads for sure, and you can interchange them within the set for your characters that are on the foosball table, which I think is pretty neat. However, what I would have liked better is a simpler foosball table. I think they could have easily knocked $100 off the price of this foosball table by removing all of these extra minifigures that they included for you to interchange. Like, that's just added cost of stuff that you're not even gonna use for the set when it's in use. And this would have very easily allowed them to do away with the minifigure display cabinet thing. I mean, you just are wasting money there for me. Like, I just don't see that as an added value for what I want out of a foosball table. And so ultimately, this foosball table is also much smaller than a regular foosball table is too. What the original LEGO Ideas project looked like was just way different than what we ended up getting. And the designers did explain this well. Basically, the Tightening axles are not made very well for a super long experience with a foosball table, and players would be too rough on it, and so they would always break, and you would always have to be fixing it. So doing a smaller foosball table does make sense from that perspective to me. Ultimately, the playing field is just minuscule, though. I mean, it's just downright tiny, in my opinion. I wouldn't play this, right? You can get a real-size foosball table from Walmart for probably $100 cheaper than the official LEGO set is. So from my point of view, they should have axed the extra figures. They should have just done completely black and white, or I guess blue and red, perhaps, characters in a monochrome color scheme. Maybe they could have still had hair pieces like they do in the Everyone is Awesome set, but like, I just wanted a really dumbed down play set here. It's not what it is. Obviously, they went a different direction. Maybe other people will enjoy this, but I think for $250, this will be a flop of a LEGO set, except for those buying it as a parts pack. Because if you want a real foosball table, you can probably buy a pretty nice one for the same price, and that's what I would want. I just don't think I or many others are going to be in the market for a $250 laptop size foosball table. Austin says, why doesn't LEGO Star Wars have a community manager like Call of Duty or Battlefront 2? Yeah, this has always been kind of a questionable thing to me. LEGO thinks that their ambassador program is an adequate answer to what the community community actually needs, and it is far from that. So yeah, why don't they have one? Probably just ignorance on LEGO's part, honestly. Will they ever get one? Probably never. To a degree, I feel like I've ended up kind of filling that role with the amount of questions that I personally end up getting about LEGO Star Wars and trying to answer them for people. So yeah, I feel like they're just never gonna fill that as a position. I just don't think they see it as a need, and it's unfortunate because there is zero communication for LEGO Star Wars fans, which is by far the biggest like sect of the internet of LEGO fans. So like you would think they would have someone out there that's like kind of managing that, and they don't. JKLM Video says, what is the most amount of VIP points you've had at one time? I'm currently at 156,725 VIP points. And if I were to redeem all of those VIP points, I could get about $1,200 in LEGO store credit, and I am losing money daily to inflation with my VIP points account. So yeah, I mean, I have a lot of VIP point money saved up from LEGO VIP points. I literally haven't really used it since they changed over the VIP program like 3 or 4 years ago. I can't even remember when, and I thought it was just a terrible change, and so I stopped using VIP points completely, and so I've just been hoarding them and hoarding them and hoarding them. And one day, I'm gonna spend them all at one time. I just don't know when, I just don't know on what, I don't know how much more I wanna collect. I definitely have an opportunity at some point to do something cool with that. I just, no idea. Doc Burke wants to know what I think of LEGO producing plushes and other non-buildable toys. Is it good that they are diversifying this way, or should they stick to sets? So LEGO has always been kind of producing non-buildable toys in a way. They've done the maquettes in the past or whatever from Gentle Giant Ltd. They've always had shirts and hats, and I believe there have been ornaments for quite a while. I don't personally collect them, but there are a lot of things that aren't LEGO that are still LEGO Star Wars in a way. And the plushes are something that only came onto the scene 2 or 3 years ago, and they just released a couple more for this year with the Mandalorian and R2-D2, and they're also something that's increased in price a lot. These are $32 now. I want to say when they first came out at Target, they were $25. I also know that when the Child first came out a year ago, I want to say, it was $10, and now it's $20. So you want to look at what LEGO has had the biggest price increase year over year, it has been the plushes, I believe, like just on average probably. So I think it's something interesting. I don't think they should just stick to sets. I think it sounds like a ton of basketball players shout for dribble to me. Matt says, what are your thoughts on the Bionicle return rumors? Excited, bored, sad, happy. So Bionicle is supposed to return as a promotional set in 2023, early 2023. I think it's like Toa or whatever the red Bionicle is, and it's gonna be a promo set and whatever. Personally, I don't care at all. I'm happy for the people that like Bionicle, but I just don't really care. New rumor for you though, I guess. Oh, speaking of new rumors, I wasn't gonna make a standalone video for LEGO Star Wars BrickHeadz rumors in 2023, but we have some. There is supposed to be a Tusken Raider BrickHeadz that's gonna be standalone for $9.99. Sounds pretty cool. Would have made a little more sense to come out a year ago with the Book of Boba Fett obviously heavily featuring Tusken Raiders, so it's probably kind of a leftover set from that they're just finally getting to. And the other BrickHeadz pack is supposed to be a 5-pack, and when I first heard this, I was like really stoked. I thought it was gonna be the Bad Batch. It's not the Bad Batch. It is something still pretty cool though from Return of the Jedi. We're gonna get Luke Skywalker in his black outfit. We also get an R2-D2 BrickHeadz, which is pretty cool. Lando Calrissian in his Episode 6 outfit. Then we have an Ewok, which is nice. I think it's Wicket with the orange. And then we have Endor Leia, I believe. So a pretty great layout of characters for the BrickHeadz there. So yeah, those are some other 2023 LEGO Star Wars set rumors added onto the list there. Jar Jar 14 says, what are your thoughts on the new Winter Village set? I bought it. I'm gonna make a review video soon, I swear. I totally forgot. But yeah, new Winter Village set, pretty dope. Unfortunately, Winter Village sets may have peaked with the gingerbread house a few years back. I don't think anything will ever top that for me for a Winter Village set. It's just such a cool combination of things, and that's probably the best one ever. But this one seems pretty solid, but I've definitely seen mixed reactions. I'm surprised it's still $100 though. I'm surprised they have not increased the price of the Winter Village sets from that standard $100 here in 2022. Maybe they're waiting for next year. Dylan Stewart wants to know what's going on with the Super Battle Droid. It hasn't been in the set for many years. I understand they have issues with cracking, but does LEGO think that they can just avoid them entirely and avoid fixing the problem? That is exactly what they think. They will avoid them entirely and avoid fixing the cracking issue, because to create a new Super Battle Droid would require 4 new molds, and that would cost a lot of money for a company that makes $1 billion and probably makes hundreds of new molds a year. Isn't it ridiculous? So yeah, no Super Battle Droid in the near term, probably. It's something that absolutely should return, but I have no idea. I think the designers have basically just thrown thrown out the idea of doing another Super Battle Droid because it would just take new molds and they would actually have to redesign it so it doesn't crack. And that's part of the reason it doesn't get put in sets anymore, is because it did crack so much, and obviously having to redesign it would take a lot of work. It is pretty sad because the regular Battle Droid is super stale to me at this point. I mean, they are just throwing them in anything and everything at this point. Any clone set essentially is getting regular Battle Droids, and it's just, I don't know, it's just old to me. Like, I want some diversity there from the droid army. Magna Guards, Super Battle Droids, I don't know what other, Commando Droids, like all these great things we got a lot from the 2009 to 12 era have just been thrown out the window, and now it's just battle droids, and it's just getting lame. Leverum says, with the Razor Crest being the first UCS from a TV show, what do you think the next one should be? I would like to see the Inquisitor ship for Obi-Wan. I don't think that's a bad choice. However, I don't think Obi-Wan has the popularity, or that ship in particular has the popularity to get made as a UCS set. I think the most likely TV show UCS set is a Boba Fett Slave 1 based on the Book of Boba Fett, although I feel like that's a cop-out answer because that's something that is obviously still going to be heavily tied to the original trilogy, and that's where most people will think of it. Realistically, you could see a case where they do a mix of figures for UCS Slave 1 like they did with the UCS Falcon from separate properties. I would say I highly doubt we see anything that is Clone Wars specific. I mean, I think it's likely we'll see like an ATTE UCS or ARC 170 UCS at some point, or Venator, right? But those are like episode 3, episode 2 base, and they wouldn't necessarily be Clone Wars. So I wouldn't count those as a TV UCS either. I do, however, think with the Ahsoka show that the Ghost would be the most likely next candidate for a TV UCS set, or maybe Ahsoka's like T6 shuttle, if that's in the show. I think that was in a trailer. So yeah, I think the Ahsoka show holds some real potential for UCS because Ahsoka is obviously a character that Disney has put a lot of eggs in that basket for, as well as Lego really seems to like making Ahsoka based things. They just do a lot with her, I feel like. So I feel like that's a potential in the future as well, but you know, it's hard to know. There's a lot of potentials out there, but there's very few things that actually have a real possibility. Demotion says, why didn't LEGO do a 20th anniversary for Attack of the Clones? I would have liked to see more Phase 1 clones and maybe a Hellfire droid. Your videos are awesome. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Demotion. Quite frankly, it's because they just didn't care to, probably. I mean, a lot of other companies, I believe Hasbro and Sideshow or something, they had the 20th anniversary Attack of the Clones logo on a lot of the merch, and they did special lineups of statues and characters for their particular Star Wars stuff, and we just didn't see that with LEGO Star Wars. We did get a couple of Episode 2 LEGO Star Wars sets, but ultimately, like, yeah, it's not like a 20th anniversary wave or anything that really feels like it was done. It just happened to come out this year, right? And we can see the exact opposite happening for next year in 2023, very early on with Return of the Jedi BrickHeadz with the, I guess the Tusken Raider isn't Return of the Jedi, but they're doing a full 5-pack of Return of the Jedi BrickHeadz. We didn't get an episode 2 BrickHeadz this year. I mean, we did get the Kenobi BrickHeadz, which is nice, but you know what I mean, right? It feels like they're already in 2023 going out of their way to do something special for the anniversary of Return of the Jedi, whereas they didn't for episode 2. I wasn't too invested in getting 20th anniversary episode 2 sets. I still think they should have done a Chango Slave 1. I mean, it wouldn't have been that hard, just reuse the design you already have. But I don't think I quite hitched my wagon to the idea that there has to be an episode 2 anniversary lineup, because I just, in my heart of hearts, knew that they just don't care about the movie, right? I mean, we already know with the ATTE, they didn't even watch the movie to make the set because they just doing a spider droid. So in the next 3 years, hopefully they'll watch the movie, realize it's really cool, and then make sets for 2025 for the anniversary of the movie. So like, yeah, I don't know, man. Patches says, I remember those Rebels Ghost sets on clearance at Walmart. Funny how things changed. Dude, it's wild how crazy different the LEGO Star Wars market is now versus where it was 5-10 years ago. This is a great example. A lot of sets that are very coveted today, like that Ghost that goes for $600-700 sealed on eBay, is something that you could pretty commonly find at Walmart on clearance for, $50, $75 or whatever. I'm sure Target had them on clearance too. These sets weren't super sought after during their time of availability. But obviously the reason a set like the Ghost is worth so much more today than it was in 2014, 15, and shortly after his retirement, of course, is like Disney Plus and like people like me coming around to Star Wars Rebels. I never bought the Ghost when it was out. I didn't even like bat an eye in its direction of like, oh yeah, I really like that and hope to own it one day. I was like, I will never buy this. I don't want it. It's from a stupid TV show that I don't like. And of course, 5 years later, I get on Disney Plus, watch all of Star Wars Rebels. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And then I go and buy the set, and stuff like that has definitely help push these things up in value. But certainly it's wild to like think back at how cheap some things were. Fritz says, do you think LEGO will create and release a molded Darksaber next year like they promised, or do you think they'll lie? I don't remember them promising to create a molded Darksaber. Do I think they'll lie? They have and will continue to do so plenty of times, I'm sure. But I do want to say, if you want one of your own, I have the Brick Tactical Custom Sabers on MandRshop.com. They are $5. That's their retail price, but they are custom molded and they have a great print on them that looks just like the thing. It's amazing. I'm very happy to have some for my personal collection, and of course I have them on MandRshop.com available for sale now. And I'll also have them on some future Whatnot auctions. Xavier Oxford says, sorry for my ignorance, but what do we celebrate on October 4th? You know, Xavier, if you don't know, you should just get out now. I'm just kidding. The copyright on this like banner thing says 2019, and October 4th was Force Friday 2019. So this was like the day I think that they released the Star Wars Episode 9 sets, and so they had a banner or whatever this is in a store like advertising Lego Star Wars October 4th, but it was like really discreet and didn't really tell you anything. So I found this on eBay like a couple months ago, and I immediately was like, that is the funniest Lego Star Wars sign I could own. It says nothing about what it is. It's just a day. And then I was like, oh, Ask MandR is on Tuesday, October 4th. It would be really funny if I'm just like, it's October 4th and didn't like explain it. So that was the joke for those that didn't get it. So I don't know. I just have this sign now that I can't use for a year. Samuel Burke says, is there any parts of your YouTube career that if you could, you would go back and change? There are a couple things. One, wish I took it a bit more seriously earlier on. I mean, the LEGO space has, as I mentioned earlier in this video, really grown and changed over the years. And for a long time, just everything was super amateur. And to a degree, my channel still, to me, feels that way. I also do kind of miss the good old days where like, none of it mattered and it wasn't a job and it was just for the fun of it, you know? The years of that are also something I look back fondly on, so I guess I wouldn't really want to trade that away. The other thing I wish I could have done differently is worked with LEGO earlier on. I got dealt a really unfortunate hand and had to work with some really bad employees with LEGO. I hate talking about it, but you asked, and so this is my answer. Like, I wish I could have worked with the employees that I did actually like and respect at the company in their ambassador program when like years before I actually got accepted into it. You know, I was trying to get into it and working with employees that were actually fans of LEGO and actually understood the space and cared about it in a way. I think it's just unfortunate that the guy got fired right when I got into the ambassador program. Yeah, I wish I could have worked earlier so I could have worked with better people, and who knows what changes. I mean, you know, a lot could be different. Scott Davis says, just wondered if you've seen the new redesigned Mustang and what you thought of it. Would you trade yours in for it? So I have a 2020 Ford Mustang EcoBoost, just to give people that don't know that base of knowledge. I'm not a huge fan of the new Mustang redesign. It looks good. It doesn't look bad to me, but I'm not like jumping out of my seat to go get a new car or anything, right? I do really like this kind of bluish gray color that they've got going on. They've got a couple different nice colors for it, but like I'm not buying a new car just because I like a new color. When I bought my car, it's been 2.5 years now, I was like, I need to get at least 5 years out of this car. I'm sure there's people that buy a car, buy another one next year that have enough money to do that, or buy one and they're like, I want to get 20 years out of this. And I was just like, I think 5 years is a good baseline to work with. I can definitely hold on to it longer, but I told myself I would not consider getting a new car for at least 5 years. And I am still standing still on that. Unless I wreck my car or something really bad happens, like I'm not gonna get a new car. I also feel more realistically the scenario for me is I keep my current car for indefinitely and I go out and buy something a little bit bigger that I can transport big Lego builds in, and you know, I guess if I ever have a family, have kids in the back of or whatever, just a bigger vehicle that has 4 doors and has an actual like trunk area that I can lay down and put a big mock in if I want to bring it to a Lego convention or something, so I don't have to be renting U-Hauls and driving in those, you know? So that's what I see as a more realistic outcome down the line, but kind of off the rails from the typical Lego topic there. Anyway, guys, let me know if you have a question for next week's episode down in the comments section below. Do not miss my Whatnot stream this Saturday afternoon. I'll have a link down below if you guys are new to Whatnot. Get signed up. They just increased a deal from $10 for new users to $15 for new users. So if something's going for under 15 bucks, you could quite literally get a figure for free, I think, probably plus shipping. I'm not sure exactly how the credit works, honestly. But yeah, I'm selling a ton of stuff. I'm giving away 3 ATTEs, and the Razor Crest is mine, so hands off. See you next week.